Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am all about the gorgeous products in the Oh Holy Night suite from the Stampin' Up! September-December Mini Catalog. Now, this suite is one that we refer to as a mega suite. Why? Well, because it's got two bundles that are part of it, as well as two beautiful paper packs, some embellishments, and just so many possibilities. So I'm going to show you the products in the suite, and then we're going to make three projects together, and then I have a whole bunch more to show you to kind of inspire your creativity. So if you already have this bundle, you will get lots of inspiration today. If you haven't yet got it, I'm hoping that I will push it to the top of your list. Maybe you can take advantage of the seasonal sale, which started today, and pick up some coordinating cardstock at the same time. Now, speaking of the seasonal sale, as I mentioned, it did just start today. It runs until Thursday at midnight Mountain Time, and it is a great deal. So it includes 10% off ribbon and trim from the annual catalog. It includes 15% off ink, which includes ink pads, re-inkers, markers, Versamark, all of those specialty ink, StazOn, Memento, Stampin' Blends, so many products that fall into the ink category. And then as well, 20% off paper from the annual catalogs. That is not only designer series paper, it's also cardstock, it's envelopes, it's specialty papers. Again, oh, grid paper. I ordered 3 packs of grid paper today because I love it. And as if you've watched my videos for any length of time, you know that I rely heavily on it, not only for measurements, but also to help me get my pieces on straight. So lots of great deals to be had during the seasonal sale until Thursday, November 16th at midnight. Okay. All right. So let's see who's joining me here. Hi, Jeanette. Hi, Krista. Hi, Jill. Hi, Laura. Hi, Jean. Welcome. I'm glad you could make it. All right. So, as I said, we're going to get right to some stamping. I'm going to show you the products and then we'll get to our project. So, let me switch over to my desk view here. And here we go. So I still have my whole display board put together from our team event that happened back in September. So I just pulled all the pieces off my display board to show you everything from this suite. So as I mentioned, this is a mega suite. So we have two bundles that are part of the suite. So I'm just going to set this aside for a minute. So one bundle is called Night Divine, and it has these beautiful sentiments and then the nativity dies. Okay, so we've got the manger, we've got the nativity scene, we've got some animals and some clouds, just a beautiful die set. So just to be clear, the dies do not coordinate with the verses, the sentiments. However, they are sold as a bundle. Okay, now yes, you can use Oh Holy Night with these dies, but just so you know, they're not really cross coordinated, if that makes sense. Okay, not like our typical bundles where there are images from the stamp set that can be cut out with the dies. Okay, so a little bit different on this bundle. So that is Night Divine. And then we have Stars at Night, which is a bundle. Sorry, this is a little sticky from my display board. That includes a hybrid embossing folder. So we have our stamp set, some lovely sentiments, beautiful imagery, and then we have the dies. Okay, and these 3 dies are cut using the hybrid embossing folder, as well as all of these additional dies. Now we can also use the embossing folder as just an embossing folder and get this look, which is quite lovely as well. Now let me talk for a minute about the hybrid embossing folder. This is what it looks like. A thick 3D embossing folder. And then this is the die that coordinates. So when you are using this as a set, as a hybrid embossing folder, you're going to want to nest the die in the lid. So the side of the embossing folder that has the Stampin' Up! Logo on it. Okay, so you kind of nestle it in there. You're going to put your cardstock in and then close it this way. And you want to always run it through your machine with the fold going in first. Okay, and you're going to use your gray specialty plate on top. So it's just right on the platform, no cutting plate underneath, and then your gray specialty plate on top. Okay, and what you get is you get die cut and embossed pieces when you are finished. Okay, so that is how the hybrid embossing folder works. So love this. I have used this a ton this season. And then, of course, we have all our beautiful coordinating products. So I mentioned we have 2 paper packs that coordinate with this suite. So this again, are just little 6x6 samples that were from my display board. These are actually 12x12 sheets. And this is the brightly shining designer or specialty paper. And this was actually out of stock for a while. So if you missed it the first time, it is back in stock and is absolutely gorgeous. So it's very vanilla, night of navy foil. You get one 12x12 sheet of each pattern. So there we have the sort of vines in the vanilla and navy, and we have this sort of mosaic in both, and then we have the stars in the vanilla and navy. Okay, so that is the specialty paper, and then we have this gorgeous designer series paper. It is 12x12, and we have patterns that are just neutral. This is just really lovely sort of worn texture. But then we have these gorgeous nighttime sky scenes that make lovely scrapbook pages. They could be decor pieces, or you can cut them up and use them as card fronts, which you're going to see me do in a little bit. So we have this pattern. Love that nighttime Milky Way kind of sky. We've got this great sort of scallop. This looks like a cave to me, or a cliff, or it could just be a wash. Love this copper and black sort of worn pattern. This nighttime in Bethlehem scene. We've got just a wash, a sort of ombre navy wash. This one has really subtle texture in it, but from a distance, it's harder to see. So it's got the wash, but then that beautiful mosaic texture. We've got this is just a pebbled path mosaic, and then another starry sky image. So beautiful, beautiful designer series paper. And then, of course, we have embellishments. Now, one of the embellishments from the suite has sold out. It is no longer available. Those are the star trinkets. So if you missed out on those, I'm sorry that you missed them. But we do still have this gorgeous night of navy and gold glitter ribbon. And this one is actually one that's carrying over after the catalog finishes. So you will be able to get this moving forward. I'm hoping it shows up in the new annual catalog next year. So this gorgeous ribbon is available now and will carry over. So those are the products in the suite. So let's do some stamping. We're going to get right to it. So I'm going to do projects that use both bundles so that I can showcase both. So this first one uses the Night Divine bundle and some of that sort of Bethlehem starry sky scene. So it can be difficult sometimes when you have those large 12x12 sort of full-size images to kind of envision what you can do on a card with that paper. So here we go. I've just cut a 4x5¼ inch panel. So I'll show you what it looks like with nothing on it. There it is. Okay. So if I bring back, let me just show you what part of the panel that was. Okay, so it's just this bottom corner here. All right. And just a regular 4x5¼ inch card front. And then we are going to layer that on a piece of pecan pie that is 4x5¼ Okay. All right. Oh, we've had a lot of people join. Let me just go back and say hello to some of our people that are joining us. Hi, Carol. Welcome. First time watching me live. Well, welcome. I'm glad you could join me. Hi, Felicia. Welcome. Hi, Sonia. Thank you for sharing. Hi, Margaret. It's nice to see you. Hi, Mary from Strathroy. We're almost neighbors. Hi, Linda and Judy. Hi, Joyce. All right, so we are going to continue with this project here. So again, this is 4x5 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 cardstock in pecan pie. So we are going to just layer our DSP onto that piece. And on the back is that gorgeous copper mosaic that I love so much. Sometimes it's hard to know which side of the paper to use because they're both so fabulous. That's why it's a good thing we get 2 of each in a pack. All right, so we're going to pop that on. And then that is going to get adhered to a Night of Navy card base. All of our card bases today start out with the same measurement. So 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we're going to go ahead and fold that in half along our score line. Hello, Sydney, Australia. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Diane. Welcome, welcome. Glad you all could join me today. All right, so we are just going to pop this on to our card base, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to set it aside for a minute while we stamp our sentiment. So my sentiment is going to be stamped on this little square. This is die cut using the stylish shape dies. It is about 1 7/8 square. Okay, I think it's the third largest one from that set, but I cannot remember if that's actually true. So I'm going to stamp my Glory to God in the highest in Native Navy ink, just centered on that square. And then I'm going to come in with this sort of starry sky image. If I can find my stamp images. It is this one here. It's hard to see with photopolymer stamp. So this is the one I'm using. There's actually two. I like this one that has the larger star in it. So I'm going to ink that up, and I'm going to stamp off twice before I stamp on my image here, because I don't want it to overpower my sentiment. I just want it to kind of fill in the background. Okay, now just a little tip about stamping off. I often see people stamp off like this. So they ink their stamp, they go like this, and then they try to stamp on their cardstock. And what happens is they don't get an even image. You see how some parts are lighter and some parts are darker here? So when you are stamping off, you want to ink your stamp. You want to stamp so you get a good quality first generation image. And when you do that, then when your second generation image gets stamped, it's more even. Can you see the difference in those? I'm not sure how well it shows up on the camera, but this one is kind of uneven. There's some darker spots and some lighter spots. This one has more even color. Okay, so that's just a little tip about stamping off. It's something that's, who knew there was a technique to stamping off? All right, so we're going to layer our stamped square onto a 2 by 2 inch square of the More Dazzle Specialty Paper. This one is on sale as part of the seasonal sale. I may have just picked up a couple more packs because it's fabulous. So we are going to layer that directly onto our specialty paper. And I know it's kind of tragic to cover up that beautiful paper. Feel free to die cut something out of it before you layer over top. I could have actually kept my star right out of that. I did not, because I had lots of other little bitty scraps of this kicking around from various projects. So I used up my little bitty scraps. So we're just going to get this centered on there. Okay, now that is going to go onto our card, but first we're going to add a little bit of this gorgeous natural trim. Now this is from the All About Autumn suite. It comes in a 2-pack with that gorgeous copper ribbon. Now on my sample, I cut it sort of as a banner end and then frayed it. I don't love that look, so I'm going to instead, on this piece, this is only, what is this? It started out as a 3.5 inch piece, and then I just took my scissors and I cut both ends on an angle, and I'm going to glue this down, and then I'm going to fray the ends a little bit. So I'm just going to take and apply a little bit of seal right to the card front, and I'm going to start with my card straight. I'm going to add my trim here. We try and get that straight. So then I'm just going to kind of take my finger and I'm going to fray those ends a little bit just to give it a little bit of a rustic look. Okay, I don't want to actually pull out threads, but I just want to fray them a little. All right, now that is going to get adhered with a couple of dimensionals. So we'll probably do 2 along the bottom and 2 along the top, just so that it is well secured. So we'll pop that on right about there, hopefully fairly straight. Okay, and then I have some die cut pieces. So I have already gone ahead and die cut and done a little bit of coloring, but I'm going to show you what I did. So I have my shepherd and my little sheep here. The shepherd is watching his sheep by night, and I'm going to show you the colors that I use. So I die cut this initially in white. So just to keep in mind, that die is actually the full nativity scene. Where is it? There it is. So it's this die cut here. And I only just kind of kept a little bit of Mary and the shepherd. Oh, and I just noticed we have a negative that was still stuck in there. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So I just kind of trimmed straight down along the staff there, his shepherd staff, to separate him from the rest of the scene. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and adhere this. Now I did, as I said, die cut in white, and then I colored the clothing to sort of look something a little bit more rustic. So the top, the tunic, was colored with light pecan pie. The headdress was colored with light crumb cake. The the bottom of the tunic was colored with dark crumb cake. The staff, the shepherd staff, was colored with dark gray granite, and then the hand was colored with one of the light natural tones. It's number 700, which I think is the medium light pack. Okay, all blends are on sale as part of the seasonal sale. Just saying. Okay. All right, so we are going to adhere our little shepherd boy here with some mini dimensionals. So I'm just going to add a couple to the back of my die cut and get rid of my backings. And he's just going to kind of be standing on the hill here, looking up at the starry sky. And then again, we're going to add a couple of dimensionals to the back of our little sheep. Now I'm going to use just a half mini. Let's see, there's a half mini right there. So we'll grab our, take your pick to pick that up. And I'm just going to pop that behind the head and get rid of my backings. And then we'll pop that on. So our sheep's just kind of hanging out. And then we have our star. So our star is going to be sort of up and to the right of our sentiment. And this is sized quite nicely. It's like Stampin' Up planned this to fit a mini dimensional right in the center of our star. It just fits. So we're going to go ahead and add that to our sky. Okay. And then I wanted just a little bit of bling that was similar in tone to that pecan pie. And what we have are these, what are they called? Sparkle gems. They're in our neutrals or natural. And the sort of coppery color works quite nicely with the pecan pie. So we're going to add a couple of these guys. Just to add a little bit more sparkle to our starry sky. We'll go one here. And we'll maybe put one kind of up near our star. And there we go. Okay, so this beautiful DSP really does all the work on this card. On the inside, I just added a white panel and stamped Merry Christmas, and then that same star image behind the Merry Christmas sentiment. Okay, so letting the DSP do the work is totally okay, especially Christmas time when we're pressed for time, right? All right, so that is number one. I'm going to set that aside. Number two is this fun interlocking gatefold. Now, I think I've shown you how to do one of these in a past video. I can't remember how long ago it was, but I really like the look of this, and I like the action, and I love the fact that it is as pretty on the inside as it is on the outside. So I'm going to show you how to put this one together. The key to success, or the key to having the inside look as pretty as the outside, is having a die cut that is symmetrical, because you're going to flip your die so that you see it from the front and the back. Okay, so I will show you how to do that, but that's just sort of your secret to success for this one. All right, so we're going to start with our card base. So again, 4 1/4 by 11 inches. So same measurements as our last card, but this time I'm scoring at, and I'm going to put it on my ruler so I give you the right measurements, 2 3/4 and 8 1/4. All right. Or if you want to think about it, 2 3/4 in from both of an inch. Let me say that again. 2 3/4 of an inch in from both ends. That's how I do it. I don't actually go 2 3/4 because I just like to not open the arm on my trimmer. I'm lazy. So 2 3/4, flip it, 2 3/4. All right. So we are going to go ahead and fold in both of those score lines to create our gatefold. So the thing about a gatefold is you always want to make sure that those ends meet in the middle. You don't want to have a gap there. Sometimes when we're measuring, we aren't super accurate. So we just want to make sure that those, when we fold them shut, are going to meet. Okay, so that is our base. Really, really simple. And then on that base, we are going to adhere some of this beautiful DSP. So I love this sort of Milky Way starry sky image. So I have cut 4 pieces all the same because we are going to decorate both the front panels and the inside panels. Now you don't have to decorate these. I just like them. I like it to look pretty. So, and this paper is gorgeous, so why not? So we are going to go ahead and layer these. I should mention my card base is Boho Blue, which is one of our in colors. It coordinates beautifully with the colors in this DSP. Now these little panels are each 2.5 by 4 inches. So we're going to start just by adhering one nice and straight and hopefully with equal borders on all 4 sides. And then what I like to do is close this so that when I glue this one on, I can match up my edges. So we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more glue. And I'm going to adhere my second one and work really hard to get those top and bottom edges matched up so they're nice and even. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to open this up and we're going to add 2 more panels, one on each side. So this guy is going to go over here. Yes, Jean, it is Boho Blue. I'm glad you asked because I would have forgotten to mention that. So yes, it is Boho Blue cardstock. Boho Blue, Misty Moonlight, and Night of Navy all coordinate really beautifully with this DSP. So if you have any of those, they all will work. Okay. So we can pop this on. Our last panel here. There we go. All right, so we have this beautiful night sky happening. All right, so we're gonna set that aside for a minute and we're gonna work on our little strips for the front. So I have some itty bitty strips of Boho Blue cardstock. So these are 7/8 by 4. Okay, so they're quite narrow. They're just a smidge less than an inch, and I have 3 of them because I need 3 for the front of my card. And then I have several, 6 to be exact, strips of the DSP. So it's the same pattern, it's just the reverse side. I love this particular page so much that I wanted to showcase both sides. So these are 3/4 by 3 7/8. Now I should mention all of the measurements are in the video description. So you don't have to write these down. You can go back, they're all there for you. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and adhere a strip to the front and to the back of each one of these little narrow bits of cardstock. Because again, we want to be able to see the DSP on both sides. We want it to be as pretty on the inside as the out. Now again, doing the back side is optional. You do not have to, but that's some of the wow, I think, for this card, the fact that it is just as pretty on the inside as it is on the outside. So we'll start by doing the fronts and then we'll flip them all over and we'll do the backs. Whenever I'm gluing with narrow borders like this, I like to use liquid glue just because it gives me that little bit of wiggle time to get things centered just so. Hi, Xana from the UK. Welcome. Glad you could join us today or tonight, as the case may be for you. You are up late. All right, so now we're going to flip them over and we're going to add a strip to the back side as well. There's one. And 2. Oops, that one moved. That's an advantage and a disadvantage of liquid glue. Sometimes you get it right and then you accidentally move it before it is set. All right, last piece here. Put that one on. I'm not sure I understand. Oh, Siri thinks I'm talking to her. My watch is convinced that I'm talking to it far up more often than I actually do. All right, so I'm going to take my 3 strips and they are going to get centered on the front of my card base here. Okay, now you can do them closer together if you like that look, or you can space them equally. It's really a matter of preference. I like them spaced a little bit closer together, so I have slightly narrower borders between the strips, but then wider border all the way around. It's really a matter of your choice. Now I'm going to take this middle strip away for a moment because we're going to glue the top and the bottom strip on the left side. Okay, so they're going to get glued to this left flap on our gatefold. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to add a little bit of glue. I'm going to turn it back over. And I'm going to stick that down and hopefully get it relatively straight. All right, then I'm going to take this bottom one. I'm going to do the same thing. A little bit of glue. And now I just want to pay attention to trying to have about the same width border at the bottom as I do at the top. And again, I'm paying attention to these edges and trying to have them relatively lined up. Okay, so that is my first side of my gatefold. This middle strip is going to go in the middle, but get glued to the right flap of my gatefolds. Okay, so I'm going to leave that where it is. I'm going to flip it over. The reason that I'm kind of working with it in place is so that I kind of have an idea of where I want my glue to go. I want to make sure I don't have glue where it's going to be overlapping the other flap. So again, we're going to kind of place this, get this centered and hopefully aligned. Okay, so there we go. All right, that is the trickiest part of this. Honestly, getting those lined up and centered. That's the hardest part. All right, we're going to set that aside again for a moment, and then we're going to do a little bit of stamping on our white panel for the inside of the card. So I'm going to stamp "Wishing you the best and brightest holiday season" in Night of Navy ink as soon as I grab it from my other basket here. We're just going to stamp that centered on our panel. I should mention this panel is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And then I'm going to come in with my Boho Blue ink and this other little sort of starry image. And I'm going to, again, ink up my Boho Blue. I'm going to stamp off once and then stamp sort of in behind my sentiment there. You can see that. Okay. Hi, Donna from New Hamburg. Welcome. Oh, it's not as late as I thought it was there, Xana. Thank you for correcting me. I don't know why I thought you guys were farther ahead than we are, than you actually are. So it's not so late. So thank you for spending part of your evening with me. All right, so we are going to go ahead now and glue this piece of white cardstock inside our card base. So it's just going to tuck right in here. And again, I'm going to attempt to line up my top and bottom edges with the DSP so that it looks fairly continuous all the way across. All right. Okay, this is where the wow in this card comes from. So I have here 2 of these beautiful die cut and embossed stars. This is the largest star from that hybrid embossing folder. And it's cut from some of the silver foil specialty paper, which also just happens to be on sale as part of the seasonal sale. You're going to hear me saying that a lot because there's a lot that's on sale. So we are going to start by working on the front star to begin with. Okay, now I just want to point something out here. When we go to glue this star on, we want to make sure that this point does not extend past that midpoint of the card, because what's going to happen if it does is it's going to catch as we try to open. Okay, so we're going to keep this to sort of centered on this panel, this right hand panel, and make sure that that left hand point doesn't extend too far over. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this, but first I'm going to add a little bit of with Simply Elegant silver trim. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of seal to the back of my star after I get rid of my hair that apparently fell out of my head as I was stamping. And then I'm going to just take some of the trim and wrap it around 2 of my fingers just for a quick sec. And then I'm going to trim it off the roll, slide it off my fingers, assuming I didn't do it so tight that I can't. And then I'm going to let those loops relax a little bit so that they actually extends past the edges of my star here. So I want to be able to see them. I don't want them all to be hidden. So we're going to let them extend, and I'm going to add a little bit more seal here so it stays put. There we go. And a little bit here, and I may need just a smidge more trim for the bottom. I didn't wrap quite enough times. So I'm just going to add another extra little loop down here because we want to be able to see this. There we go. That off. And the nice thing about this is if you get it arranged and you don't like the look of it, like I don't really like that I can't see a loop here, all you do is kind of pull it up and rearrange. There we go. I like that better. Okay, so now what we're going to do is adhere this. Now I'm going to take this off for a minute because we want to make sure that we are adhering it to the 2 strips on the right side of our card. So I'm going to open this for a minute. Okay, and it is going to get glued like this. Now I'm not going to glue it with this open because I want to make sure that this edge doesn't extend past that center point of my card. Okay, so it's going to get adhered over to this side a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that on. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of seal to my strips here. Now this is going to feel like it's really insecure, but it's going to sort of lock into place once we add the inside star. So I'm just going to slide this over so it's centered and stuck down. Okay, now I'm going to open this up, and this is where we are going to add our layer on the inside. We're going to sandwich this twine so it's going to lock it into place, and we're going to adhere that with some dimensionals here. So I'm going to add, where's my full size? There. I'm going to add a couple of full-size dimensionals, and then I'm also going to add some mini dimensionals. So one there and one there, and that's going to really lock that twine down. And then we're going to add just a smidge of adhesive to the top and bottom of my points and stick this down. So I'm going to get rid of my backings here. I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue to the top and bottom points of my star. And then we are going to layer these. And this is why we need a symmetrical die cut, because if they're not symmetrical, they're not going to layer properly and you're not going to get that same effect. Okay, but there we go. We get that sort of pretty die cut on the front and on the inside. All right, and then when we go to close, they interlock that way. Isn't that a neat? Silver's not on sale. Really? Oh, that's right, because it's not in the annual catalog. Thank you for pointing that out, Anne. It is an online exclusive. It is no longer in the annual catalog. Thank you for mentioning that. I apologize for giving incorrect information. All right, so our last couple of touches is to add our sentiment. So this sentiment, again, is from the Stars at Night stamp set, and I've heat embossed it in white on Night of Navy cardstock. And so we're just going to take and fussy cut this out. So I'm going to cut out of the season. That's going to go on our bottom strip. So I'll just pull that out of there. Come on, cut. And we'll clean it up in a minute. And then we're going to let me just rough cut this. We got too much cardstock here. There we go. We're going to cut the magic for the middle strip. We're going to trim that out, and then celebrating for the top one. So I like to rough cut things. So I'm working with smaller pieces. I find it easier to fussy cut when I have just a small little bit rather than a big piece of cardstock. So there is celebrating. We're going to clean up the magic a little bit. Clean up that end a little bit too. There we go. And then of the season. Okay, now on my sample, I actually popped these up, but I am going to recommend, and I'm on this one I'm going to glue these flat. The reason being is that sometimes you see how the point of that star catches sometimes on that popped sentiment. So it's a little bit annoying and I don't like it. So we're going to glue these flat. So let's start with of the season. I'm going to put just a smidge of liquid glue on the back of my sentiment here. So I'll take this guy, and it's going to tuck in right close to my star here. Oh, I didn't do a very good job of cutting that straight, but that's okay. All right, and then I'm going to do the magic. If I can get it to flip over without flipping back over. There we go. So you'll notice I'm kind of offsetting these as I go. And then finally celebrating at the top. Right about there. There you go. All right, our last touch is to put a little gem in the center of our star, and the in color, I don't even know what these are called, in color dots that are in the annual catalog. The smallest gem fits quite nicely. These are the Boho Blue. from the In Color Gems. It fits just perfectly in the center of that star for just a little bit of a touch of bling there. And there we go. There's our finished card. You like that one? And this one opens much easier than the one that has the popped up sentiment. So that is my little tip for you. Don't pop up your sentiments. All right. Okay. That's number 2. Number 3 is a little bit of a gift card holder, because we are nearing a time when we have to start thinking about Christmas gift giving. And so I love having a bunch of gift card holders on hand, because they're great to tuck in stockings, but they're also great for those unexpected visitors. I like to always buy a few sort of generic gift cards to have in case we have unexpected visitors at Christmas time. I will buy a couple Amazon gift cards, or like a Starbucks or Tim Hortons or whatever. So I have something to give just in case. So this one just opens up like this, and look at that. There is a Starbucks gift card tucked right inside there. This is one of the easiest gift card holders I have ever made. It basically starts as a card, and I will show you how to get the look, or how to get that little pocket for our gift cards. So once again, this is the other half of the sheet that I used on the previous card. So 4 1/4 by 11 inches, so same dimensions, okay? And then I've scored at 1 3/4 and 5 1/2. So this is just your regular fold in half, right, card base. I've just added 1 extra score line at 1 3/4, okay? So we'll start by folding this in half along our score line, just like we would any other card. And then this 1 3/4 inch score line, I'm also going to fold inwards, just like that. Okay, so you can kind of see how that is going to form our gift card holder. Super easy. All right, so let's add some DSP. So on this large panel, so this front panel here measures 3 1/2. Sorry, I lied. 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. So these pieces, we're going to put one on the front and one on this inside panel, are 3 1/2 by 4. Okay, so we're going to put one here, and we're going to put one inside. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I like Starbucks too, Joyce. I am always happy to find a Starbucks gift card in my stocking. It's I'm kind of easy to shop for in that way. So there is our front panel, and then we'll do one on the inside. So you'll notice this looks similar to the last card in terms of the DSP, but it's actually a different pattern. But there's lots of sort of starry sky images or patterns in this DSP pack. Okay, so that forms our card front. Now on this little panel, we are going to add a strip of DSP as well. This is 1 1/2 by 4. So we're going to glue that on here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Ooh, that looks a little wide. Oh well, doesn't matter. That's going to be on the inside. I'm just noticing I'm having a hard time lining up my top and bottom edges, but it doesn't matter. We're not going to see them, or they're not going to be side by side, I should say. All right, now this is an optional step. You do not need to cut out this little circle for the gift card, but I like the look of it. So if you have a circle punch, anything kind of from 3/4 of an inch up to 1 1/4 inch will work. This is a 1 inch circle punch. So I'm just going to kind of mark the center point on my piece here, and I didn't bring a pencil, so we're going to use a gray granite marker. And the center point is 2 1/8. So I'm just going to take and put a little tick at the 2 1/8 mark right there. Can you see that? And then I'm going to take my circle punch, and yes, I'm punching a layer of DSP and cardstock at the same time. This is not sanctioned officially by Stampin' Up, but it will work. I probably wouldn't do a full circle, but nipping out that little bit totally works. And that gives you your little semicircle to make it easier to slide the gift card out. All right, so now we're just going to glue this flat down, but we're only going to apply glue along the top and the bottom, not along this edge, obviously, or we're going to seal our pocket shut. So I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue. You could use seal. I just find the liquid glue stands up a little better. Tear and tape also works. So I've got my glue on here. You guys crack me up. All right, I don't know why we just flipped back to let's go back to my desk view. There we go. That was strange. I don't know why it just magically switched. All right, so there we have our pocket, right? We could stop there and call it a day. Okay, we have our pocket for a gift card, but we are going to decorate the rest of this. So our inside panel here starts out just as a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of white cardstock. And we have a 2 by 4 inch strip of the same DSP that I used on my pocket. Now you don't have to use the same piece. You could use this piece. You could use something entirely different, but you're going to want it to be something that's going to coordinate with what you have on the front. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and glue that on flush with the right edge of our cardstock. Now I'm going to put this on my blue background because I can't see white on white to save my life. So I'm going to put that back there so that I can actually get that lined up. There we go. All right. Then we're going to stamp our sentiment. So I have my Merry Christmas. We're going to stamp that in Night of Navy ink. Get my marker out of the way here. So there's our Merry Christmas. And then again, I'm going to add, did I add my stars in behind here? Yes, I did, but I used the big stars. Where'd you go, big stars? There you are. And I am going to ink this and stamp off 1, 2 times. And again, nice and light behind my sentiment. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and glue that to the inside of our gift card holder here. So we'll bring that back and pop it inside. Just like that. Okay, and I just like to close it and burnish it well. All right, now we're going to work on our focal image here, which I love. So here we have yet another of those beautiful, I love this sort of brushed metallic silver. I just can't get enough of it. And then I have another of the die cuts from the Stars at Night die. So this is kind of a starburst image. And again, I've used some of that fabulous More Dazzle Specialty Paper. So we are going to start by layering the large star over top of that sort of starburst die cut. And I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue. This does take a little bit longer to set up with that specialty paper. So we do need to be a little bit more patient. We're just going to go ahead and layer that just like that. Whoops. See what I mean? It does take a while longer to set up. It stuck to my finger rather than. Let's just set that there and let it do its thing. All right. While it's setting up, we are going to stamp our Joy and Peace sentiments on, this is just a 1/2 inch strip of white cardstock. So it's just an offcut. And it does fit this sentiment quite nicely. I gave myself a fairly long one because these are rubber stamps and it can sometimes be hard to get things centered when you are not able to see exactly where you're stamping. So I'm going to ink this up in the Night of Navy and we're going to cross our fingers. Oh, that was actually pretty good. That came out on the first try. I was not expecting that. All right, and then we're just going to take our snips and we're going to cut at an angle. So the trick to this is, well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. Let's start. We'll cut one end. Okay. And then what I like to do is keep my scissors kind of at the same angle. So I just kind of eyeball it. If you are really uptight about having the angle exact, you can line that up. I'm not that super uptight about it, but if you are, you certainly can make sure that that is precise. Okay. So then I've got some of these cute little stamped and die cut, sort of, not these. Here we go, vines. So these are stamped in Pebbled Path ink, and then I've colored them using the dark and light Boho Blue Stampin' Blends. So we're going to adhere them to the back of our little die cut, not die cut, hand cut label here. So I'm going to add one kind of peeking up from the top. Oops, that's a little bit low. We're going to move that up a bit. There we go. And I'll add a little bit more adhesive and we'll add this guy kind of peeking at the bottom like that. Okay. Then we're going to add some more of that silver trim. I have a ton of this stuff, so I'm trying to use it up. I have like probably 6 rolls of just the silver because I did an event last year that required a whole lot of gold and I didn't use the silver. So I have so much of this silver trim. It needs to get used. So same kind of idea that we did on the last card, just wrapping the trim around our fingers and then sticking it down onto our label to which we have already applied some adhesive. It is much easier to apply your adhesive and then stick your twine on than it is to try to add your adhesive to your twine. Okay, so there we go. Now that is going to get adhered to our star, just like that. Okay, we're going to use a couple dimensionals. So we'll go 1, 2, and 3. We'll get rid of our backings. And then we're going to pop that on right across the middle of our star, just like that. Isn't that pretty? And then that is going to get glued to the front of our gift card holder. Now, generally, I don't send gift card holders through the mail. If you are thinking this is something you will send, you may want to glue this flat. I'm going to pop it up because I can and because I'm a little bit addicted to dimensionals. So there we go. That's my true confession for you today. You probably already knew that, though, if you've watched for any length of time. All right, so there we go. And then our last little couple of touches is to add a couple more smaller die cut stars from the same silver foil. And once again, I can use a mini dimensional behind these and they fit just right. So we'll add our tall skinny star in the upper left corner. And then our sort of symmetrical star in the bottom right. Just like that. Okay, and then we're going to add just a couple of little silver festive pearls because, you know, you can never have too much sparkle. I'm loving the mixed metallics on here. So we've got this sort of champagne metallic, we've got this darker silver, and then we've got a more traditional metallic silver in both the pearls and the trim. And I just love that mixture of metallics. I just feel like it adds lots of depth and texture. Where are we going to put this guy? We'll put this one down here. There we go. There's our finished gift card holder. Isn't that an easy one? So easy. So you can use any DSP you like. Again, if you don't want to put this DSP panel on the inside, you don't have to. You also don't have to decorate the pocket. I just like really showcasing our beautiful paper. So there you go. All right, let me pull back all the 3 that we did today, and then I'm going to show you a few more ideas with this fabulous suite. So there are our projects from today. And then here are a few more ideas. So I love making cards for Christmas that people are going to want to display, because it seems to me that people tend to display Christmas cards a little bit more than maybe cards that are made throughout the year. So this one is meant to be a little stand-up nativity scene. It's an easel card. So it'll sit on your mantle just like that. And you've got your little nativity scene. So it's pretty. It's got lots of gold embossing and that beautiful nativity die cut. This one is one that was actually part of my October. It's the reverse side of this paper. Just the copper and the navy, I think, just look really fantastic together. And then, of course, gold and navy are also really classic. So this ribbon is a great alternative to the navy and gold. So this is actually from the annual catalog and is on sale. And it is really, really lovely. So there's your gold and navy. Here's another gold and navy example. So this one, can you see? Does it show? I don't know if it will. It's on that sort of mosaic DSP. It's a really dark part of the sheet, so you may not see it. But this is this sort of peek through die. So let me pull that in. So this one here, it actually just cuts the star and the peek through. This circle I just die cut because I wanted to show the peek through die. But it just cuts that peek through. So I've got some gold foil behind it. So it kind of looks like stardust peeking out from behind. And then I've stamped and heat in gold as well on the DSP. And then this is one for this month's card buffet. So again, I'm really loving that blue and silver look. So this one again uses that beautiful large star and the boho blue combination. So there we go. There's some ideas for you using the Oh Holy Night suite from the September-December Mini. Now let me just go back to me so I can say thanks for joining me today. Thank you, ladies. You always make me feel great with all your positive, lovely comments. Thank you for sharing those with me. I hope you have a great week. That is it for me today. I will see you next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.